Hello, hello. It is Saturday the 26th of July and I'm just having a little look now because I think tomorrow we will be harvesting some intercrops. You can see the beans are looking terrible next to me, very weedy, but they are ready for harvest. Beans with the oats are very ready, but the oats have still got quite a bit of green in them. So I think we're going to have to leave these for a little bit yet. Have a look at the other stuff. The monocrop oats here are also a little bit green still. We've got 100 acres of other spring oats to do, so I think we'll be doing those first. But the canary seed and beans again look ready. Let's have a look at this canary seed. It looks pretty good. Tiny little seeds. So we've got mustard on the headlands, which is about ready. You can see there, tiny little yellow seeds. There's the mustard and vetch, this plot next to me just here. Most of the vetch, what's actually there, looks okay. Those slightly larger seeds, they'll be ready. So I think we'll do those tomorrow. But the oats and vetch, these oats are actually looking slightly further ahead. So to be honest, I think we might be able to do these as well. Just looking at them, there's not a lot of vetch there, but we knew that was going to be the case. And then that strip I talked about before that we were going to top down there, the buckwheat, that's being topped now. You can see that's slightly lower. So I think tomorrow we will get this field all done, including these oats, because I think they're okay. They should be all right. And then we'll get combining on to the rest of the stuff. We're off. We're on with the trials. You can tell it's trials when you got a bag and bucket and about 20-ton bags. Here we are. Hopefully we can fit through the gateway. Just emptying out the combine of all the last little bits of wheat. Got the elevator hatch open as well. Saves a bit of cleaning for the mustard. So we've done one lap around the headland, just playing around with settings at the moment, trying to get the mustard sorted. So just started mustard now, getting quite a bit of trash in the tank, so struggling setting the sieves and getting a few header losses. So just changing a few bits and pieces. The sample's pretty horrible at the moment, but hopefully we'll get something a bit nicer. Getting through the mustard slowly. Sample's still awful, but as there's no peas with it, it should be pretty easy to clean, just the mustard itself. Let's get the drone up in the air. Right, so it turns out now you need to take a test and register before you can fly a drone. So as I haven't done that, there won't be any drone shots. So any recording is going to be from the ground. So that's the lower section of peas and mustard. Well, just mustard cleared off along the bottom. Next up is the bits along the top, so I've got to find where the peas and mustard turns to vetch and mustard, so we can keep the vetch and mustard as a 24-metre strip, hopefully. So just down the centre of these wheel marks, 3 metres to the left hand side, about there, that's where the edge of this 24-metre section is, that's where it's coming through the middle there. So everything from the combine to the left hand side is peas and mustard, and everything to the right hand side of this 24-metre section is mustard and vetch. So we look down here, you can see the tiddly little vetch plants, all 5 of them. That pod's actually splitting open. and an oil radish next to it for good measure. So this mustard and vetch seed that's here, we won't bother separating this. This will be used pretty much straight away in cover crop seed, or for winter bird food or legume fallow or anything like that. The same as the oats and vetch here. That would just be used for straight cover crop seeds, so that would be brilliant for bulking out mixes. So as you know, we've been in a drought this year, and if you watch my previous video, you see that we went through these fields with a harrow, a grass harrow with some clover, to try and get some clover established as an understory in here. And since then we have had 20 mil of rain, and surprise surprise, nothing has grown. Yeah, it looks green behind me, but that's because of weeds, because it's no herbicides, and I can't see any clover. So hopefully if it does rain, some of that will grow, but it's a real pain. I was hoping it would at least do something, fill up some gaps. So obviously we're not going to end up with a huge amount of yield out of this, but considering all of this mustard will have come from 30 kilos of seed, that's it, 30 kilos, I think it's pretty good. We're going to have a look in a shed in a minute, but sample's not wonderful, but we'll have a look. So the combine says we got about 1.6 tonne, but I mean, it looks a lot more than 1.6 tonne to me. Let me see. A lot of chaff to say it's quite a dirty sample, but I'll get some vetch and mustard now. There's a few hundred kilos of mustard and vetch. Should fit in here pretty fine. Here we are with the mustard and vetch. Definitely looks more than 300 kilos to me, but I may be wrong. The oats and vetch. There won't be as much vetch with the oats. Yeah, this is alright. We'll pretty much be drilling this straight away in the next few weeks. I can safely say I've never been corn carting with a telehandler before, but here we are. So that's the first day done. We won't do this next field over the hedge there until we've completed the rest of the spring oats. So decent amount of oats and vetch in here. It's not going to be a huge amount of vetch, but you can see the little seeds there. A little bit of oil radish as well. Don't mind with that. But yeah, there is vetch in here, but there's not a huge amount. It's quite dry, luckily, so not a lot of green in it. It's got the mustard spread out in this trailer. We'll leave it in here overnight, and then tomorrow it can go in this pit, and we will clean it, get all the cleanings out of it, and then it won't get too hot. So this is what we clean out the mustard. And I'll show you the finished product. And then there's the nice clean mustard, not clean trapped cow, coming out. Right, it's day 2 on the trials. We're about to do the second field. It was about a week ago or something. Oh no. I've just dropped all my yen sample bags and different bits and pieces over the floor. Got to work out what I'm doing with that for the beans and oats, monocrop, and then together. So let's get going. We've got beans and oats to do today on the headland. We've got monocrop oats, monocrop beans, and then an exciting one, beans and canary grass. I'm assuming the sample for that will be rubbish, but it should be fun trying to sort them. Anyway, let's go. Finished the spring oats last night, so it won't take too much setup and have to clean out the tank and everything, which is good. First headland runoff, just a few teething issues, a bit of green around the edge, but it's going well so far. It's very green still. So the oats have got very green stems, but the beans are ready, so. Also, while combining, we're doing samples for yen. So I'm doing the bean monocrop plot, which is beans, thistles and fat hen. The brother's doing the beans and oats plots, which is getting 25 samples of each whole plants. And then we got to do a seed sample as well at harvest. Last little piddly bit there, next to the canary grass. Combine's there. So we've got monocrop oats there, monocrop beans with fat hen thistles. And then the infill over there is going to fill in, so I'm just going to get some drone photos of that. That's the beans and oats finished, just doing some samples in the trailer now. It's just onto the monocrop oats there, so we'll go and drive over and get in the way. So here we are on the oats. I mean, they look quite good to be honest, but they're quite green still, the stems, so glad this is being chopped. Then after this we've got the canary grass, which should be interesting. Very different seed size canary grass and beans, so separation should be quite easy for these, but it does look thin looking from the top. I have no idea what to expect, but we will see. Now we're just putting the oats straight off the combine into here. Oh shit, wrong way. We've got the beans and oats in here. The sample doesn't look too awful. The sample of the beans and canary grass is going to be horrendous, about 2 different similar seed sizes, that'll be fun. We've got to get some bean samples off to yen as well, so we've got to separate all the beans out, so that's great fun. Getting on with the monocrop beans at the moment. Just glad to see all that fat hen and thistles tidied up, to be honest, to make me feel better. I don't know if you can see this, but there are hundreds of swifts and swallows all over that bean plot. Now it's just been combined. Bloody hell.
It's gonna be interesting.
Sample at the moment, we're just worried about over threshing the beans because canary grass is struggling to get it out of the heads. It's a bit of a balance. final stretch of harvest 2025. So that's it. Trials are all done for this year. Rubbish year for it. So we've emptied out the beans and oats at this trailer and now put the beans in here from that 24-metre strip, just because there's a lot of green, and we'll spread them out quite thin, just so they don't start cooking themselves and turn to silage. Yeah, so the canary grass is all out. Combine just being blown off quickly before it's clean for the winter. So yeah. So that's the ton of beans all spread out, just to stop them heating up before we do some cleaning tomorrow. Ended up having to increase the threshing. So it's been, the beans have been threshed quite hard with the canary grass. You can see there's still whole bits, but we'll clean it all through. Just the amount of insect life in here. So just an update post-harvest before we go through to the results. Mustard has been separated and cleaned and is there. Sample looks good. Same as the canary grass, some of it has been used in supplementary bird food already and mixed in a big batch. Sample's not great, but that doesn't matter. The oats and vetch have been cleaned but are still together. We'll use those for whole crop seed in the spring potentially. Oats and beans has been separated into their components. Mustard and vetch has all been drilled already as cover crops and catch crops. Yeah. A lot easier than it was 2 years ago. Anyway, results. So I just thought I'd show you a quick reminder of what I did back in 2023 and just the results of that, which will be on the screen now. You see we did get a few margins of over £1,000 a hectare. Obviously not going to have that this year because, well, we had a drought. So just to refresh memory on what they did in the first year. And then just coming up now is effectively the trials plan for what we did this year. So you've got the 8 different plots, drilled 19th, 20th of March, and also the variety mixes along the bottom. Big area this year of beans and canary grass, a new one, so thought that would be quite interesting. So these are the costs and margins for this year. If we start at the top with beans and oats, decently high variable costs. You see on all the plot 1, 2 and 3 with the beans got high variable costs. That's because I had to buy a new seed. I mean, they're extremely low for standard kind of grown crops, but high for this trial. So yield on bean and oats, only a tonne a hectare on beans. And yeah, with not too great prices, quite a low gross margin. But if you can compare that to beans on their own of 1.85 and oats on their own, the oats actually did really well this year. Coped with the drought quite well considering, and that margin there was really not far off what our conventional oats did. I say conventional, they didn't have a fungicide, herbicide and barely any N. So yeah, so that just shows how far that was off. And the beans and oats together, the intercrop had a land equivalent ratio of 1.11. So that means compared to growing beans on their own and oats on their own, growing them together gained an 11% increase on the land equivalent ratio. So required 11% less land? No, so had 11% greater yield compared to the equivalent land if they were grown on their own. So plot 2, beans and canary grass. Obviously a new one for me, never grown canary grass before. I didn't really know what to expect. I think it's actually canary seed. We'll be using that for supplementary winter bird food for our own use. So thank you to Premium Crops for giving me some seed. I'm not sure 100% sure on the price, so I put £600 a tonne. I could probably have a look at that. But yeah, gross margin of 571, so quite happy with that, to be honest. So yeah, moving on to the plot 5 and 6, the peas and mustard and peas and buckwheat. Obviously the peas was an absolute disaster. It's my fault. Germination on the peas were rubbish. So that number 5 was effectively a mustard monocrop. We didn't even try and harvest any peas. We kept the combine settings to mustard. Adapted oilseed rape settings is what we put them as. So pretty amazingly, 6 kilos of mustard planted gave us 0.32 tonnes a hectare, so 50 times your seed rate, which is pretty good. So the only thing that's kind of bringing that plot up is the price of buying mustard, and low variable costs really, so pretty average that one. And then peas and buckwheat, disaster. Because there was no peas and the buckwheat was planted so early, we chose to top that plot and didn't take it to harvest because I didn't think it would be worth it personally. So we've effectively just treated that as a cover crop. Vetch and oats, that is the winner for this year. It always works quite well. We got a decent amount of vetch this year because I upped the seed rate quite considerably. Just have a little look at what seed rate I went with the vetch. So yes, 6 kilos on the vetch, which I think I did more personally, but that's what I've written down. So yeah, it did hamper the oat yield a little bit. It's done 2.3 compared to monocrop oats of 3 tonnes a hectare, but did better than when combined with beans. Vetch is obviously worth quite a lot as seed, and we've got a decent amount of it. So yeah, we'll be using that in whole crop seed next year most likely. So that also makes life cheaper on the other end. So did well this year. Vetch and mustard, again, low yield. Surprisingly, the mustard yield was a lot lower than mustard on its own. But then the vetch did pull it up. So 2 high value crops grown together relatively easily, to be honest. You could even put a graminicide on there if you wanted to, but 449 is a gross margin. So it's worth keeping in mind that all these are 0 input trials. So no herbicides, no insecticides, no fungicides. It's bare bones. So you always need to treat these as the minimum, effectively, the lowest you can get, and anything up from that is a bonus, I suppose. So next we're going to be looking at the output for each plot, kind of the 2 individual crops together, then the combined, just to kind of show you where it's coming from. And I mean, in pretty much all of them, it's quite an even spread. So plot 1, beans and oats are roughly the same. Plot 7, vetch and oats are roughly the same. Vetch and mustard in plot 8 aren't too far off, but it's the beans and canary grass in plot 2, which is got a bit of imbalance. The canary grass is really leading the way in the output. So then if we move on to the next one, which is the margin for each plot, pound per hectare, this will then be the combined. That shows you what they all like to do together. So, one thing I've forgotten to put on here, but I'll put it on now, is also all the sponsors or everybody that was involved with the project, but also fitting in with the SFI payments. And as you can see down there, depending on how you structure it, 335 to 589 pound a hectare, which you can chuck depending on which you choose. The low input cereal, for example, you can chuck on all of those, which suddenly makes something you're putting 0 inputs into quite exciting. So 3 years worth of trials. What have I actually learnt? Well, it works. First of all, considering these are all no input, and then we're going to be the absolute bare bones, spring planted, direct drilled after a cover crop. I think it works. Is it the solution to net zero? Perhaps not, but can it fit as part of a profitable farm rotation? 100%. Can you do these on little bits of kind of fields around the farm or headlands for your own seed? 100%. And you probably should if you're doing a lot of cover crops, stewardship mixes, etc., etc., because you'll save yourself a huge amount of money. So a few key bits that I've I suppose got from here. Everything was relatively easy to grow apart from spring oilseed rape. That was an arse. Won't be growing that again. And also spring barley did not like the no N or low input N. It needs that mineralization early on. Yeah, it was a very easy way to grow cover crops very cheaply. Cereals as a companion will get rid of weeds. You can see that literally to the line with oats and beans compared to beans on their own, for example. Saw that in year 3 and in year 1. So both years. So I think there could be a case for growing oats as a nurse crop with a lot of break crops, such as peas or beans. And once they get to a few inches high, even spraying them out at that point. I mean, I was doing that 5-6 years ago with spring linseed, and I think that's something that probably can be looked at, whether it helps. I know people do it with spring barley and sugar beet for erosion control, so I think there's something in that. Check your home saved seed. Bit of a balls up with me on my peas in the last year, but just check your home saved seed for, it's not difficult to do as a disease test or a germination test. It will cost you if you don't. Drilling depth didn't really seem to matter, anywhere from beans to canary grass to mustard. Everything went in at 1.5 inches roughly, and it was all absolutely fine. I think with a few minor inputs, a cheap fungicide, a small amount of N, whatever it was, I think you'd up those yields considerably from what I've done. Obviously I didn't do that because that wasn't the name of the project, that wasn't what I was trying to show. Mine was all focused on integrated pest management and whether it worked. But yeah, I think you get some big results with some very minor inputs. Let's talk about IPM. Variety mixes are a winner, 100%. Can see that how they've held up, and yeah, just more diversity. It just wins. You just see it all the time. I think how this works, how you get the best margin is you keep your break crop, peas, beans, whatever it is, oats, and you use a niche crop alongside that, so mustard, so canary grass, so vetch, whatever it is, and that little extra, that's where you're making the best money. That's I think where this niche works the best. It's keeping it as a break crop and it's getting a high value crop alongside that. That's the way to do it. Yeah, and these niche crops are very suited to a low input system. They work really well because like these all modern bred varieties that need loads of inputs, these niche crops, they haven't been bred like that, so they don't need it. And also SFI is a winner. Doing SFI alongside this, you will double your margins or at least add a considerable amount to it, so it's brilliant. So yeah, that's me signing out. What's next? Well, have you ever heard of relay cropping? Cheers.